Bienvenido a Centro Hispano. My name is Megan Barrelay Fogarty, and I am the Youth and Family Program Director here at Centro Hispano. And we do a number of things in the community to help immigrant children and families feel more at home here in the Knoxville area. We have programs, educational enrichment programs for children here at Centro Hispano. When parents come to take English classes, we provide programs for the children. We also help through information and referral services here at Centro Hispano. If someone has a question about finding a doctor or a lawyer or how to pay a heating bill and they're looking for resources in the community and they need someone that can speak to them in Spanish and help them navigate that process, that's what we're here for. I mentioned the English classes, so we do adult education, mostly English classes. We do some basic literacy classes in Spanish, and we're working on our GED program in Spanish. And so the children's programs, we have those programs here at Centro, and then we also have after-school programs at 3 local elementary schools where we do after-school tutoring programs. We do a once-monthly workshop at Fulton High School with their ESL newcomers, which means they've been in this country less than 2 years, and that's sort of basic life skills. This morning there was a presentation by Regions Bank on basic financial literacy, how to set a budget, what is a bank, how do you use a bank. And then we also do some educational advocacy activities. So we're the founding members organization of the Latino Student Success Coalition, which is educators, teachers, social workers, counselors, members of the community, parents and youth who just want to see more opportunities for Latino students in Knox County schools. And so we work with them in sort of speaking up and advocating for educational equity in that space. And we also do some leadership programs with youth that are interested, for instance, in going to college or sort of advancing themselves in their lives. So it's kind of broad what we do, but we've really enjoyed working with the students from Pellissippi that have come to us both through service learning and some through just general volunteer, for instance through the Tennessee Promise scholarship that they needed some extra volunteer hours. Service learning for me is really an important part of what we do. So our service learning, students that come to us through service learning and through their classes tend to be those that are able to give more meaningfully to our organization and understand the mission and purpose of our organization besides just being one-time volunteers. And so we've worked, for instance, with an English classroom. Actually, we have the privilege of being located very close to Division Street campus, and so we've often worked with classes from them. One English class came and they were looking at how to create a welcoming space and environment. So for our preschool students, we have a very nice view from our building, but we needed a place to enclose them. So we helped work with them to create a fence and then a sandbox, an area where the children could be outside and appreciate this beautiful view and get some outdoor space. And so that's a program that we have that allows the children to be in a safe, fun environment while their parents are learning English. So I think the students really understood the purpose of not only, they weren't just creating a sandbox, but they were creating a welcoming, warm space where the kids could feel at home, when home is such a loaded term for immigrants, and how important to feel that happy space where the kids could just relax and be themselves. So that was a really meaningful experience. We also have service learning students that work with our English program, our ESL program for adults. And one of the cool things with that, I think, is that there's not many other times in your life, most of them tend to be young people with not so much experience teaching, and you're well prepared if you come here. You have a pre-established curriculum, you have some training where you get to shadow someone who's already teaching, but then at some point you're the one standing in front of the classroom and you're getting that experience of really making a difference in people's lives. But it's also, good development for yourself as a young person, as a young student, to have to gain that confidence to speak up and share your knowledge that you do have and you feel like you're contributing meaningfully to what's going on. So I find that really helpful for the personal development of students, and it tends to be those students that enjoy that process that then keep on coming back and are not just here for the semester when there are classes involved, but also would continue working with us in the future. when I met with some professors at Pellissippi about doing service learning, one of the neat things is some of them felt like their particular field or their class they were in might not apply to what we're doing, and they weren't sure how to make their field work with. So for instance, we had someone doing biology or physiology, we had someone else in audio technology, audio technician, and I mentioned, well, how amazing would it be if we had students from your audio-visual class doing promotional materials for us that we could send out on social media. That would be so helpful for our organization. They get to hear the stories of students, and they get to share them and sort of change that narrative of what it means to be an immigrant in Knoxville. So even though that wasn't in sociology or social work, it was still a very meaningful contribution that could come from a different sort of department. And the anatomy and physiology program I was talking about, our health promotora program, which is basically health education. And so finding out some more research about why diabetes is so prevalent in the Latino community and what we can do to sort of head off this obesity epidemic that we have among Latino children. So there's all sorts of learning opportunities and all sorts of ways that could be made into materials then that could be utilized by our organization. Even if you're not in one of those fields that tends to be sort of geared towards service learning all the time. So we would welcome any volunteers, any classes that wanted to work with us. We find it really helpful to sit down with professors ahead of time to talk about what their goals are, what their class is, how we can integrate those things. That tends to work a lot better than just sort of sending students our way without having that foundation that lets us to really work well together and make sure that everyone's getting what they need out of the exchange.